Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our regular council meeting for Tuesday, July 4th, 2023. And also welcome to the people that are on virtually. I'll read the territorial land acknowledgement. Before our meeting gets underway, I would like to formally recognize the traditional keepers of this land and specifically our neighbors of the Alderville First Nation with a formal territorial acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the township of Allen-McAlderman is located on the Mississaugan-Ashanindick territory and is the traditional territory of the Mississaugan-Ashanindick. The township of Allen-McAlderman respectively acknowledges that the Mississauga Nation are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and the integrity for generations to come. I'll pass it on to our deputy clerk for a roll call.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Logo. Currently today in attendance, we have Mayor Logo, we have Deputy Mayor Joan Stover, we have Councillor Ainsworth, who is attending via Zoom conference. We have Councillor O'Neill, Councillor Greg Booth, Chief Dawson, the fire chief, Nicole Leach-Bahoon, the treasurer, Pat Kemp, acting CAO clerk, myself as deputy clerk. Brian McMillan is also here in attendance in the audience, our public works supervisor. And I believe, I see Jennifer Steen here as well. Sorry, Jennifer. She is our Parks and Rec coordinator. And I believe that is everybody, staff and council wise.
Thank you, Yolanda. I'm going to ask Pat to introduce some new staff.
Thank you, Mayor Logo. Members of council, it gives me pleasure to introduce our first one is Nancy. If you want to sit in the chair, then everyone can see you. I forgot to tell you how to do a speech. No, I'm just joking. This is Nancy McDonald. Nancy is a former county clerk from Northumberland. She retired last fall and she's been picking up some gigs to help other municipalities. She just started today and she's our administrative assistant in the clerk's department. So welcome, Nancy, and thank you for coming.
Thank you. Good to be here and I look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Nancy.
next is Lori. Actually, if you can come up, Lori. This is Lori Woodruff, and she is our finance administrator and expenditure. And Lori comes to us from Cobourg. She has a wealth of knowledge in finance, and we welcome you and thank you for joining us. And her first day was today as well. So today's a good day.
Thank you. I really look forward to the opportunity of working for my municipality. So I'm looking forward to that. And thank you very much for the warm welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
And last but not least is Paul. I don't know if Brian wants to introduce him or
Sure, yeah, I'd like to introduce Paul.
sit down, Paul, so we can see you on
Yeah.
camera. Please.
And Brian, if you want to speak into the phone, that would be okay. For all the folks out there.
Good afternoon, council and staff. Yeah, I'd like to introduce Paul Lansley. He's been with the Public Works Department now. This is gonna be his third week. Paul has a wealth of knowledge in the Public Works Department. He worked in Crammy Colburn for how many years, Paul? Seven, and before that, he was with the town of Cobourg. He's nice and close to our shop. He's just over on Eddystone Road. So anyways, Paul's been a welcome addition to our Public Works Department, and welcome, Paul.
Thank you. I am happy to be here and hopefully I can get along. We'll have quite a team to work with. So it's good.
Welcome, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Paul, and welcome to all of you. Welcome to Allen-McAlderman Township, and we look to forward to working with you for many moons to come. Next on the agenda is a moment of silence for our fallen soldiers and citizens. Thank you. Next, we have item 4, disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof.
John,
Mike, got your hand up?
yeah, through you, Mayor Logal. So I will have a conflict of interest when it comes to the Hogan Road and Rust Creek Road.
Thank you. You're not here, Mike, but you'll have to, when you get back into the office, could you fill out the regular form? But we'll note it in the minutes.
Will do, thanks.
Okay? Okay. Thank you, Mike. Approval of the agenda as circulated. This is the agenda for Tuesday, June the 4th, 2023. Be it resolved that the agenda for the regular county council session of Tuesday, July 4th, 2023 be approved as circulated. Mover and a seconder, moved by Deputy Mayor Slover. Seconded by Councilor O'Neill.
I will note it's the Alderman, not county.
Thank you.
agenda.
Thank you for correcting me. And David, I'm not going to take your vote.
No, sir.
Okay, I'm just looking over there and he looks a little bit like Mike, but no, I better not say that. All in favor? Motion's carried. Item number 6.1, it's a report from Dave Dawson, Fire Chief, dated July 4th, 2023, regarding the RFP for the Master Fire Plan and Community Risk Assessment. Dave, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. So I present to you the closing of the RFP for the Master Fire Plan Community Risk Assessment on May 12th, 2023. It was posted and it closed on June 2nd. There was 3 submissions, one from Lumex Property Management for $52,295, one from Bear Integrated Solutions at $57,335, and one from Emergency Management Group Inc. at $64,785. As the fire chief, I'm recommending that we move forward with the Lumex Property Management Group. They have done the master fire plans for the Northumberland Chiefs Association, Port Hope, and also Hamilton Township. It would also help us stay under budget in this regard, as we budgeted $60,000 for it. And that is my recommendation to council.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Go ahead, Mayor Catherine.
I'm looking forward to the community assessment part of it and the analysis to help us better understand who it is that we're serving. I don't really have a question so much as that was my comment, that I think that's very important. Does other outside of fire have any input into that community assessment?
So my understanding is the process involves the interviewing of the actual firefighting staff, interviewing of the senior management staff of the fire department, interviewing council, and also there will be public input. It is supposed to be a full circle process. The community risk assessment is done first, and then the master fire plan is done based on the information obtained in the community risk assessment.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question too, Dave. When do you think this will start and when will it be finished?
So your mayor, with the approval of council today, I will contact Lumex, and in the presented material, this would start in July, so immediately.
Okay.
The community risk assessment is to be completed by September, and then the master fire plan process will then, I believe, commence, and the final presentation is scheduled to council in January of 2024.
Thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that the council of the township of Allen McCullough accept the fire chief's report dated July 4th, 2023 regarding the master fire plan and community risk assessment. And further, that council approve the award of the master fire plan and community risk assessment to Lumex Property Management Limited in the amount of $52,295 as it was the lowest bid received and it is within the budget. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor O'Neill. Seconded by Councillor Booth. Any further comments or questions? All in favor? Motion's carried. You got it in July there, my friend.
Thank you, Mayor Logo. Appreciate it. Thank you,
Okay.
council.
Next, we're going to move on to the building planning report or department. And the report is from Daryl Hall, former CBO, MVEO and planning assistant dated July 4th, 2023 regarding the building permit summary for June of 2023. I assume, Pat, you're going to answer any questions?
Yes, if there is any, it's pretty straightforward. It's just a record of the building permits that we have issued during the month of June.
Okay. I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that the council of the township of Allen McCullough receive and file the report from Daryl Hall regarding the building permit summary for June 2023. Did I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover. Seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Any further discussions?
Mayor Local,
Yes.
through your Mayor Local to Madam CAO. Just wondering where we will be at because I see that there's no bylaw report here. So will there be one coming at some point?
Yes, so through you, Mr. Mayor, we will be issuing a bylaw report at the July 18th meeting.
Thank you.
I guess the only thing that I was noticing that 2022 and pardon me, 2021 and 2022 so far year to date, we would be behind a fair bit where we are for 2023.
Yes, that's correct. And there are a number of permits that are waiting on the chief building official's desk. He's just waiting for other documentation to come in. So whether it's the septic permit or other documentation, once that comes in, those permits can be issued.
Okay, so there's quite a few, you think?
Yeah, there is probably between 5 and 10.
5 and 10,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear.
And the other thing, just for council's information, so we do have an agreement with Hamilton Township for the inspections. And I talked to Tim from Hamilton Township this morning, and we're going to do everything we can to keep things running as smoothly as we can.
Good, thank you, Pat. Okay, all in favor? Motion's carried. Next, we have a report from Daryl regarding the Wicklow Church exterior restorations. Go ahead, Pat.
So through you, Mr. Mayor. So as council is aware, we did bring a report forward on June the 6th, and council had asked us to go back and talk to the lowest bidder. It appears that the lowest bidder was not going to use the material that we require for that project. So that's why we're recommending the second lowest bidder, which is S. Trudeau. And the amount is, $43,530 plus HST. And then as council is aware, as an add-on, we also talked about doing the roof on the gazebo, which is $6,800.
Okay. I think that was me, Nancy. Thank you, Pat. Any questions from council? Go ahead, Councillor O'Neill.
This is just a question about the tendering of this project. So were the materials not specified when we sent the tender out?
It did indicate that it was a heritage building and that we were going to, I don't think it specifically said what type of material.
So this, I mean, this situation arose because our tender wasn't clear enough?
Probably, yes. Yes.
Okay,
Further questions, comments? I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that the council of the township of Allen McCalderman receive and file the report from Daryl Hall, planning assistance regarding the RFP 020-2023 Wicklow Church exterior reservations, and further that the council approve the bid for SJT carpentry in the amount of 43,530 plus HST and 6,800 for the replacement roof for the kiosk. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Booth. I haven't been paying enough attention to you, Council Ainsworth. You may have had your hand up a few times. You want to second this one?
Sure.
Seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Further discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Yeah, go ahead.
I just looking at that thing, that report there too, because it was a request for proposal, those people that were submitting their proposal would propose when they were, if it was a tender document that was out. The building official would have what kind of stuff would be required to be put in the church. But when these contracts go for an RFP, you request proposals from people, so they'll put in what they would be supplying. That's the difference between an RFP and a tender, I guess. I just throw that in. I guess that's something different. A tender lays out what you want exactly, and that's when, like, say, the fire chief and the truck go through, tick everything off, but request for proposal, people submit what the proposal do on the church, so
Okay,
that's just a little different than tender. I'm saying that will be a little different than the stuff being spec'd out in, that's all.
thank you
That's
for
true. Thank you.
clarifying that, Brian.
Yeah.
Okay, we got everybody agreed? Yes, we did.
no,
Okay,
we haven't voted on that.
Pardon me,
Pardon?
You didn't say all in favor yet.
I thought I did.
I thought you did. I have it
Oh.
marked.
Well, I'm not my hand then.
Sorry.
Yeah, see, we did because I saw Mike's put up his hand. Okay, moving on to item 8, Public Works Department. 8-1, a report from Brian McMillan, manager of the Public Works Parks and Recreation dated July 4th, 2023, regarding Public Works Department update. Brian, go ahead, please.
Yes, good afternoon, Mayor Logal, members of council. You have before you my monthly report on public works activities that happened in the department since the last public works update, and also future projects. Just to give you an update, currently right now, we're working on a lot of our construction projects, our capital projects, getting ready for hard topping. The other big thing, the grass is getting very long along the roadside roads and that, so we're cutting our roadside grass for visibility in that intersections. Yeah, that's about it, but I'll answer any questions that any councilors may have with this report.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
To your Mayor Logo, Brian, forgive me if I haven't checked this, but have you stated on the updated the website yet for your part on what roads you're going to be doing this year?
I'm not sure, Deputy Mayor Stover, I'll have to check with, we talked about it 2 weeks ago with Susan. She's back in tomorrow, but I'll check on that. If it's not on there right now, we'll have it on there tomorrow.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mary Catherine.
Just passing on that I've had various members of the public be pleased with the response times they're receiving at this point.
Good, thank you.
Any other things?
John?
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, through your Mayor Logo. I just wanted to ask Brian, when they're cutting the grass on the side of the roads, does that also include cutting the trees back that are hanging out onto the road? For instance, just a couple of the roads, Turk Road, King Road, that I travel quite often. You know, some of those spots you got to pull out and around the trees.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yep, through your Mayor Logo. Yes, Councilor Ainsworth, the mower that we're using right now will go along the roadsides, cutting the roadside grass. It has the mower attachment on it for cutting the grass, but it also has another little bit of a flail mower on it that will cut small brush up to, say, maybe 2 inches, not much bigger than 2 inches. It's our smaller machine. So it will get some of that smaller stuff, say sumac or Manitoba maple, small stuff, and get some of the ones that are kind of hanging limbs over the road. I don't know if that answers your question out, but it doesn't do the big stuff, which is on our list to, catch up later on in the fall. But the roadside mower is catching some of the smaller stuff that is hanging out or causing obstruction into the lanes.
Yeah, I would say, Brian, that some of this stuff is, 7, 8, 10 feet tall kind of thing, right? So it's quite high and it sticks out quite a bit into the driving lane.
So again,
So it would have to, maybe take a drive through there on your way back and have a look, see what you think.
yep, through your mayor logo. Yes, Councilor Ainsworth. So the one good thing with having our staff member going along every roadside road right now, cutting the grass. If there's anything he can't get or an obstruction or a safety hazard, he does let myself know or our lead hand or our foreman know. And then we do try to get back, either it was a small crew to do that or one of the bigger machines. So I'll make the note of that area there and we'll take a look at it for sure.
Thanks, Brian.
Yep, thanks you.
Your Catherine?
Sorry, through you, Mayor Logo. Just the asset management plan, it says the next milestone is July 2024. What is the next milestone?
I wish I can't answer that for you. That'd be a question for Susan and she's off today on vacation. But I think that's the next deadline. I think a requirement from, or sorry, Pat might have.
Yeah, and I believe it's for all of our other buildings. So the main focus was the core services that we have. And then the next step is everything else. But we can have Susan prepare
Yeah.
something for the next meeting.
Yeah.
I know Susan's been attending, and she's been on Zoom meetings with other townships and county staff for the last few months and that, so I know she's been on top of things that way.
Go ahead.
And she's going to be making a presentation to council in September.
Yeah.
So-
Okay, I can wait until September for that answer, but I just was curious.
Yep.
I'm glad you brought it up, Mary Catherine, because asset management is very important, and we need to know that we're proceeding as expeditiously as possible, because we will be doing budgets, and asset management and budgets go hand in hand.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, it's very important to get it done because any future grants or approvals like that, a lot of them require the asset management plan being updated and being a part of it. So it's very important to us getting future monies from government levels as well, to having that updated too. So
Good point. I have a couple or three things, Brian. Dust control. Well, you had 12 inquiries, which to me seemed like an awful lot. Is that because this was a dry May, or does that have anything to do with it?
yes, through your May logo. Yes, right off the bat, we started our calcium probably in late May. It did get very dry and we weren't able to get some of the roads done quicker than others. We did try to go to the busier ones first. So that's what the complaints were right off the bat, was dust and stuff like that. And they were genuine, complaints that they should have complained about, but we tried to, get them done as soon as we can. And like I see next report, there are very little complaints now on the dust and stuff.
Can we do it earlier, or is it a case of availability, or what is the issue?
We did as early as we could this year. Usually you wait till you're, usually in your half loads are on for the month of March and April. So you don't usually start grading your roads or have full loads of gravel and water in the trucks till May 1st. Sometimes we're still grading roads initial time after the winter season to get them kind of leveled up good before you do that fine grading for dust control.
Okay.
So early May is usually the earliest you start and stuff like that, but this year just got dry really quick and the complaints come very quick after that. So
Thank you. The lights on Aird Street, I'm glad to see you're moving ahead with them. I'm sure the people on that road are happy. I do have a question regarding Glens of Antrim. For a while there, the lights on the east side were working and the lights on the west side were working, but the center ones weren't. And I don't know why that is, and I used to see it when I used to go for my walks either early in the morning or late at night, but the sun's up too early now or goes to bed too late and I miss it.
again, through the Glens of Antrim subdivision, I don't believe we've assumed ownership of those roads in there yet. So we haven't been able to fully, we've had calls about people complaining about the streetlights in there. But if you let me follow up on that, I'll look into that more, but I know it's similar to the one we had up in, didn't have streetlights, but we just assumed the road up there in,
Roseneath Landing.
yeah, I'm trying to think of two roads and stuff like that. Yeah, but similar to that, we don't have ownership of them yet. So again, they're still paying the the hydro for those things till we assume the roads and stuff, but I'll look into that more.
Okay, and I get, and continuing along with that, we should. I think the subdivision is just about done, but I don't, and I believe, if I recall correctly. There is, before we take over, they have to put another layer of asphalt on there. And I'm just wondering if we talk to the contractor, I guess it's.
So are you talking about Glens of Antrim?
Yes.
So we have a peer reviewer that's reviewing it and
Oh.
they'll be listing all the
Efficiencies.
efficiencies. And then they'll be talking with Brian and getting that resolved
Okay,
before we assume it.
Yeah, and again, through that, I'll just add to Pat's comments there, and then usually the second layer of asphalt is the very last thing.
Yeah.
Most of your contractors are off the roads and stuff, so you're not doing damage to that toplet of asphalt, and so stuff like streetlights or ditching, if the ditches are filled up with sediment and sand for some of the lots that were done, we'll make sure that's cleaned up, because once we assume ownership, then moving forward, any expenses are incurred on that job is by township taxes and tax money and stuff like that, so make sure that all the deficiencies are done before we assume it.
okay. One final thing, and that was your speed data equipment.
Yeah, we're working on that right now. We have, again, that Susan was working that. And I'll touch base for it tomorrow, but we did go through our procurement on that, and there was a little bit of that. I forget the name right now, but we were gonna get, I believe, was two flashing ones that would be done by solar that we can move around by a trailer.
Yep.
And then we're getting a second Black Cat. And then our original Black Cat needed software upgrade to it. I think that was another $1,000, but again, I can update you on that next time. But next time I'm probably at the meeting, some of that equipment will probably be out on the roads at that time anyway, so.
Good. And the reason I bring it up is the Police Services Board, we had a meeting about it last Friday, I guess it was. And the subject come up, and I know there's an awful lot of new OPP leadership there. And I think we just wanted to make sure that you were working with that group, because they want to know where you're going to put them, I guess, and whatever information that you pick up from them, that we make sure that we pass on to the OPP so they can send their officers accordingly to the proper spots that you're seeing. So
Yes, I do have a contact there now, and we did have a gentleman that did it for quite a few years. Ed was his name, Joustra, I think.
oh
was
yes,
his name.
yes,
But Ed retired there now, so he was the one that was going around and setting a Black Cat up and stuff like that for us. And again, the two different things between the two things, the Black Cat, no one knows that they're out there. Actually, they're out there, they're hidden, they're not hidden, but they're alongside the roads and stuff like that. And they're gathering information on speed, type of vehicles going by, a bunch of different stuff. Where the flashlight is just those ones you see out when people are driving down and they know they're going too fast, the lights are flashing and stuff like that. So we do make a list. Susan and I, when we do get calls, we'll get calls and concerns from residents in certain parts of the township about speed. So we've been telling them we got some new speed equipment going out. So that's where we'll start place some of that. And then I'd be bringing recommendations back to council. And if council as well has heard from residents in certain areas, please let me know and we'll put that equipment out. But then I'd bring recommendations back to council on, whether a speed limit adjustment is needed in that area. Because then a bylaw has to be passed for the new speed limit signs to go up. So there will be further stuff coming more in the fall and spring of fall of this year and spring of next year.
thank you. Deputy Mayor, you have another comment?
I just had one quick one through your mayor logo. Brian, have you looked into the parking on Aird Street?
That's a future report as well too. Did it. I've kind of come up with what I want to do, but you'll see that report at my next monthly, probably, sorry, is there one in August? For
No,
the
but-
first meeting of the,
Now we have one on July 18th.
I'll try for that meeting. If not, it'll be the September, but I do have a plan and my recommendation will come forward. I just haven't wrote the report yet, Deputy Mayor.
I think through your mayor logo, September might be a little bit late, but I'll
Okay.
leave that to you, Madam CAO. Okay, thank you.
And Brian, there's another area that's come to my attention in the last couple of days, and it was again this morning. And that is right out here on Old Danforth.
Okay.
This morning there was a 50-foot truck parked there. He was running to get a sandwich or something like that, but there's no room for
Around there.
right, between here and, 2 or 3 houses up.
Yeah.
That, and on last Friday, I think it was, there was about 6 cars parked there too. And it's just not the right place to have parking.
No, I usually area like that, close to intersection, should be no parking here to corner kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we can definitely look at that as well.
Okay, if you wouldn't mind.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. Go ahead, Councilor Ainsworth.
Through you, Mayor Logo. So I just wanted to ask Brian, because I got a couple calls on it myself, as Drivers Rest Road. I wondered what the outcome was that, because I know you and Councillor Booth were looking into that.
Yes, I've actually spec to or through you, Mayor Lowell, sorry. Councilor Ainsworth, I actually talked to a couple of the residents on Drivers Rest Road and told them my plan for that road, and I don't have those. Anyways, I spoke to 2 of them anyways, and the plan is just for all council. We're planning on regular maintenance on that road this fall, which would be ditching and grading, some grub removal, and it would most likely be a road that are bringing forward in 2024 for a capital project to hardtop, as it's again, it's more of an urban built up section road, and there's a lack of ditching there. There was ditching on the south side of that road years ago, but for some reason it was filled in. So the issue on that Drivers Rest, Councilor Ainsworth, is the people who are on the north side of Drivers Rest. All the water comes off the hill from the south across the gravel road, washes gravel down people's driveways, and as well, these people have septic systems as well. So a lot of extra water and stones are going on top of their septic system. So by the township reinstating a ditch on the south side of the road, that will get the majority of the water not going from the south to the north. So both people I talked to were happy with that explanation and time frame of that work moving forward.
Good stuff. Thanks, Brian.
Councilor Booth.
Mayor Logo.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to, I know it's probably has to do with Brian and more with the county, but it's got to do with our roads. Is the crosswalk in the town. Do we have an update on that? Or is that something we can talk about later?
I think Pat's got most of the information on that, most recent information.
So I did contact Denise from the county and I have not heard back from her. She's to contact Brian.
Okay.
Okay.
So through your Mayor Logo, I'll reach out to Denise in the next couple of days, Councilor Ainsworth, and see the status of that.
Thanks, Brian.
I know the plan. I understand the plan was to do some traffic counts and pedestrian counts, and I haven't seen anybody doing that yet, but my understanding was she was going to start doing that.
I'll ask those questions.
Okay. Councilor Booth?
Yeah, through you, your worship, and maybe this question's actually for you, is how would we do we approach the county for, we had talked about this last council, that if it's possible on County Road 2 here, and last week we had a lot of concerns from citizens that the speed limit goes from 80 down to 60 and then 50. And we know, being in here, that there's people going at least 80 or 90 through the township here. Is it possible to get the county to install those ones that they blink? They had them up on 45 in Roseneath that shows you what your speed is. They actually had it up on 23 last year, I think, Brian, didn't they, coming into Centerton? Because it drops down a speed. Is it possible, somebody we can talk to the county of getting one that's showing coming from the east and then from the west too, because around the bend there, they just come bombing down there. And if you're not a local, they don't realize that they're supposed to be going 50.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yes, through you, Mayor Logo. Yes, Councilor Booth. When I talk to Denise about that, I'll ask that question if they can do that and the concerns why we want that done.
You weren't at the meeting, Brian, but there was lots of comments. They were particularly from the east side. And there was talk of moving the speed limit from 80 down to even 50 as far down as Shelter Valley Road. And it was the same thing on the other side, instead of being where it is, maybe almost to Barnum House or something like that.
Yeah, through you, Councilor, or through you, Mayor Logo. Yes, you've seen it even in Northumberland, but I know in other counties right now, you see a lot of speed areas going into municipalities, brought down a lot lower outside, slowing them up before they even get into town. So initially I'll ask Denise about the flashing lights, and that may be something that comes out of that. They might move them back farther before they get into town.
Yeah, they may also look
Yeah.
at some calming.
Yeah.
Procedures. And if anybody was around here last night during the exit from wherever cottage country, going, 401 was slow or very, very slow, and Grafton was full of cars.
10 minutes to get out of my driveway.
Pardon me,
10 minutes to get out of my driveway.
was it? Mary Catherine?
Just building on what Councillor Booth said, and to try and make life easier for our public works manager, this has come up and bubbled as on 3 different meetings. But would it be better if there was one letter that he then had to take to the county? Like, what's the process? Because it's not our responsibility, this stretch of road at all, but we're the ones aware of the situation and want it looked at. So what's the process to make that happen? Whether it's the crosswalk, the speed, the entrance from the new subdivision. You know, we've had a few of these issues, the ETR or the not ETR that's used as an ETR.
Yeah.
So, through your Mayor Logo, so, Councillor Nail, so usually, in most cases with Public Works, when we do get calls or concerns from residents in the township that pay tax to the township, sometimes they don't realize that they're on a county road or that they're not on a township road. We usually take those concerns and forward on to, the right department of the county. So if I knew exactly all the little things we're talking about right now, the pedestrian crosswalk, the flash and, speed signs coming in, like I would forward that to the county. And once I got a response, or I'd be able to update you guys at the next council meeting. That's kind of how Public Works has always handled public works or related issues. I don't know if that's how you want moving forward, but we do know all the staff that the county where things go. And sometimes it's a lot easier for us contacting the county on behalf of the residents instead of the resident calling the county. So that has worked in the past for Public Works. I don't know if that's council still wants to have that way of doing it or not, but it has worked in the past.
I'm gonna throw my 2 cents in on that. I think Mary Catherine's right. I know a member of council has approached them, their senior staff, at least once, and I think Mary Catherine's right. They're getting bits and pieces here and probably getting confused, and it probably needs I think probably a letter is probably the best thing to do, and say, here's the issues that we have going through Grafton with the number of vehicles, with the speeds, with the crosswalk
And parking.
and rather than throw it into a whole mishmash, say that, you know, we need some help in that. And Pat, maybe you could get your staff together and draft out a letter.
Yeah, so we could draft a letter and Brian, we can send it from him under his signature.
Yep.
And then that way the manager of Public Works from the county would be dealing with our manager of Public Works and get the issue resolved.
Yeah, I think that's to the point where, and they aren't gonna solve it overnight, I don't think, but it is an issue that's gradually showing more and more.
It's only gonna get worse.
Yeah, and it appears to be getting more and more coming, so. And I think, you know, that sidewalk has to be identified or taken out. And the calmings, traffic calming, et cetera, et cetera. There was a guy there last night, because we were walking down with the ball diamond, and there was some yelling and screaming going on from one guy and honking horns and this, that, and the other type thing, so. Road rage has hit Grafton. Mike, go ahead.
That's for you, Mayor Logo. Can we also add the intersection on 22 and 23 in Centerton? That's also a spot where people speed right through there. Or where the yellow flashing light is, they're just down from the Public Works building. So it's always been a kind of a bone of contention there with speed going through Centerton.
Yeah,
And the other thing that I would ask if we're talking to the county is the crossing sign that is west of the Last and Ladle is always covered with tree limbs. Can they trim that up to make it more visible?
that was done a couple years ago, and there's no reason why, if we approach the county, they won't do it again, I'm sure. The only thing is that, what does that sign say exactly?
Well, it's just a crosswalk sign.
Yeah, and the problem with it is, we're saying we don't want a crosswalk there anymore, so
Well, then
we
we
really
need,
gotta be clear is what we want.
well, then we need to take it down if we're not gonna keep it there for the time being.
Yeah,
And then there's one at the east end also up by, just before Air Street.
okay.
So we need to figure that out then.
Well, we need to get the county to figure it out because it's really not our responsibility. Am I wrong, right in that, Brian?
Yep.
Yeah,
So again, I think they could be in the letter. That stuff could be all in that letter to them. Yeah.
okay. Greg?
Through you, your worship, and then just on what Councillor Ainsworth was saying, there used to be, Brian, that you know, like the one up in Roseneath that says your speed is 60 or whatever like that on 23. Was that the counties? It's not there anymore now this year, right?
No, that's through your mayor logo. Yes, that's true, Councilor Booth. They have a several, and they move them around, but again, I'd have those ones requested put on. Councilor Ainsworth, I'm have them on County Road 22, right, slowing down going through Saturday, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't, and I don't know whether, you know, we're buying some new equipment. Can we use that on the county roads or it's not recommended?
We shouldn't. I guess I'd ask the county first if they did have an issue with, you know, getting or having enough or something like that, then we could definitely look at, but I think we start with the county first.
I agree. Yeah, and I believe my recollection of that a couple of years ago or 3 years ago, when they did have that equipment there, they showed the police that there was in fact an issue and the police took necessary action.
I just had one, if I may, Mayor Lobo. How many of these devices do we have? These, not the Black Cat. Do we have a Black Cat?
Through your mayor logo, yes, Deputy Mayor, we have one Black Cat currently. That's all we have. We've never, the township's
Other
never had
flashing things.
flashing lights, so that's a new thing for us. And the ones we're buying are gonna be on like little trailers that you can move around with the solar on it. If we didn't have those ones, then you'd have to have spots where you'd have to run electrical or have solar or pole up some of the 123. So the ones on the trailers would be a lot easier for public works staff to move around more like,
So that'll be 4 that we'll have all together now then.
yeah, like 4 basically, but for 2 areas, like 1 for each way coming the direction. And so I think that's enough for the township's needs. And then the Black Cats gather the information that we'd want more on determining the types of vehicles. Like I've had complaints from people, say even down McDonald Macklin, amount of truck traffic down there now. And you'll see some municipalities, you know, bylaw that no truck traffic through certain areas. You got to be careful of that for goods and service and all that stuff, but it gathers a lot more information, the Black Cats. And again, the flashing lights are good because they do draw attention to the people, how fast they're actually going through these hamlets or through areas. And, you know, so they will be good. And that'll be a new addition to the townships, you know, trying to slow down speeders.
The comment was made at the police services board meeting that they had purchased a Black Cat. Is that the Black Cat you're referring to?
The county,
No, police services board.
well, we have money from the police services board for that. Yes. For the,
No, they said they had purchased one before.
that'd be the one we have then currently right now.
That's the one you have. Yeah,
And
that's what I
it's the
meant.
one that needs a software upgrade. So
Oh,
we're gonna
okay,
get that done as well. Then the new one will come with the new upgrade. So we'll have
Okay.
2 of them.
okay. Because he said he did refer to something that, you know, we got to get something
Yeah,
fixed or
that's what-
something like that. So, okay. Well, Brian, you've been on the hot seat for a few minutes, not a hot seat, just information session. And I'm going to read your report or the resolution for your report, and then we'll go on to 8.2. So for 8.1, be it resolved, the council of the township of Allen McCalderman receive and file the manager of Public Works Department update report for the Public Works Department. Did I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Further discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Move on to 8.2, and it's a report from Brian McMillan, Manager of Public Works and Recreation, dated July 4th, 2023, and it's regarding the overage report. Brian, go ahead.
Yes, through you, Mayor Logal. Yes, council, this is the report that's required by the managers to bring when we do go more than 10% over a budget. So again, I did highlight or I did make a comment for each one. The biggest one would be, I guess, would be the case backhoe again. It is again, what's it? It's 12 or 13 years old, but we did have a unexpected repair on that, so that's why that is $9,000 over budget. Again, I do monitor our budget, quite frequently, and with getting the quarterly reports from the finance from Nicole, I try to save in other places, and I'll continue to do that. It's similar to other departments. If I did go over on patching or something like that, it's a bad year for patching, I would try to save on some other materials in another operational department. The one thing on wages, I guess, the sanding. So the wages, you do your budget, you try to allocate what you think is the amount correct wages for each operational department in your department, like your winter plowing, sanding, your grading and that. Sometimes that isn't bang on, but at the end of the year, they all will balance out. The only thing that you will never balance out is your unexpected wages, which is your OT, your overtime, which mainly has occurred in December, January, February, maybe a little bit of March for your snow plowing and sanding and salting. But basically we take those, how many staff we have, we can multiply that by the 2,080 hours per year, break it all into the different groups. But what I'm saying is if I'm over on one, at the end of the year, I'm going to be under on another one, except for the odd time with its overtime for snow plowing and sanding and salting. There's not much overtime goes into the wages outside that. We try to keep our hours within our 40 hours a week, but that's how the wages are all allocated anyways.
Yeah, I was noticing that I seen that I think I seen that there was quite a few pieces of equipment that the wages were higher in those.
Yeah.
But that's for the maintenance person, correct?
Yeah,
So
majority.
you're only gonna have them for 40 hours a week for 52 weeks a year. So that's what you're gonna spend, and that's what you got in your budget, basically. But you're spending a little bit more in one, but you ain't gonna be able to spend in another one because he's gonna run out of time.
That's right. Usually the most of that is the mechanics hours. We do have some other staff that help out the mechanics, so those hours there as well. But the big one usually is our staff wages on the mechanic is really good compared to sending it to a shop and that. But it's the parts and stuff like that. The parts for this stuff, when you go to buy stuff, it's crazy the price of some of this stuff. So our mechanic is very good at when he's getting especially large budget or large expenditures on equipment for parts that are high. He will get different pricing to try to get the best price. It's like your tires and stuff like that as well. So anyways, we try to keep a handle on that, and I think we do a pretty good job at that.
Thank you. Any comments from council? Seeing none, I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved, the council of the township of Elmwood Haldeman received the manager of Public Works, Parks and Recreation departmental overage report. Mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor Booth. Second by Deputy Mayor Stover. Further discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Next, we're going on to 9, which is Parks and Recreation Department. And the report is from Jennifer Steen, Parks and Recreation and Cultural Coordinator, dated July 4th, 2023, regarding the Parks, Recreation and Cultural update. And I believe we have Jennifer on Zoom.
Yes. Hi. Thank you. Through you, Mayor Logal. This is just my monthly update on statistics for the recreation facilities and parks for the month of May, and to provide an update for any new initiatives. So just to mention that our summer programming starts this week. So we have some children's programming that our summer programming assistant Curtis is doing. So the first one starts this Friday. as well as our next events going on in the township will be our movie nights. So we have one coming up on July 28th, and that'll be at Centerton Centennial Park. And we just got confirmation, so we'll be showing Super Mario Brothers, the new Super Mario Brothers movie. So the next one will be August 25th, and that'll be in Grafton at the arena, and we'll be showing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any on the information in the report.
I have a couple, Jennifer, and first of all, I want to thank you for all your hard work on the, I know it was a team effort, but you were probably involved in it as much as anybody, and that was the Canada Day festivities. So thank you very much for all your hard work.
Thank you.
The early on at the ACC and Vernonville, is that for trial purposes, or we haven't signed a contract or nothing like that, have we?
Through you, Mayor Logal. No, we haven't signed a contract. So the early on was always doing a, well, I'm not sure actually for how long, but for a while they've been doing a reading program at the library at the Civic Center. And then they wanted to expand this program and offer after the reading time to do a gym time. So they have started doing that, and that's on Thursdays in the afternoon. And then Vernonville came out of, they're looking for more space due to turning the Grafton early on into the emergency daycare for in the county when that after that accident happened. So they were looking for more early on day programs that they could run in the area, and that's where Vernonville Community Center came in. So they're running the 2 programs on Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay. And is there if I go on the website, is there a form or somewhere I can find out how much it costs to rent those facilities?
Yes, if you are on, I think it's under Explore and Play, and then there's community centers. There is the fee schedule on that page on the website.
Thank you. Explore and Play.
And then community centers. So it's Explore and Play is on it should be on the top bar menu. And then if you drop down and go to community centers, you'll see there's pictures of all the community centers as well as the fee schedule and information there.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Stover.
Through your, Mayor Logal. And Jennifer, I'm just wondering the fitness, the cutting of the ribbon for July 24th at 12 p.m. I just wondered how you came up with that date.
Through you, Mayor Logal. Part of the requirements for the OTF funding is that the MPP must be there for the ribbon cutting. So that date and time came from Pacini's office.
Because I would like to see maybe a few events at night where more of the community could be here, but I certainly understand that timing. As well, are you doing any night or weekends with the pickleball that's at the arena and the other facilities?
Currently, we are not. They're just daytime when we have staff there already. In the evenings and weekends, we can look at. I haven't received many people inquiring about those days and times when they've reached out to me, but it's something we can look into for sure. We do have, of course, we'd have to book work around what we already have for happening at the arena during the evenings, but something that we can look into.
Okay, thank you.
Here, Catherine.
You just alluded to early on being at both the library and in the recreation program. And I know we've talked a little bit at the Recreation and Culture and Community Development Committee about how to get an effective recreation guide, but in the short term, is it possible to be sending the recreation guide that you've prepared and the summer activity guide that the library has prepared so that residents are seeing them at the same time so they can coordinate or see what's available when they are looking for something, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yes, through you, Mayor Logo. I do always send the rec guide to the library as well, and for them to have printed copies at their locations. But that's something that we can look at in the future if we do develop more of a traditional recreation guide of larger municipalities or townships that include all of those kind of things in one document. So yeah, I can talk about that with Elaine.
Mary Catherine, you got another one?
Through you, Mayor Lovell. Just wondering in the short term, if when you're putting the information about the summer activities for youth on the website or on Facebook, if you could put the library ones up at the same time and in turn ask when they're sending out, like they have quite an extensive email group at the library, if they could send both out at the same time, just for the convenience of users.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
One final thing, Jennifer, for me anyways. Last year we had 3 of the movies. Are we doing one on Roseneath this year or not?
Through you, Mayor Logal. I don't have one planned for Roseneath this year, and that was just a budget decision. It is expensive to bring the movies into the township, and we have received some sponsorship, not as much as we had received last year. So that was just a budget decision to go down to 2 this year.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Oh, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, to you, Mayor Logo. Jennifer, about the Fenella Community Center. I don't see what the usage is there on your chart. I wonder what.
You're fading out, Mike.
Okay, so the Fenella Community Center. You got the 59 hours there, but up in the box, you don't have it listed on what the usage was.
Through you, Mayor Logo. So the total rented hours, that 59, is the total usage. So there was no programming that happened there. So all of those 59 hours were private rentals.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Allen McCullough receive and file the Parks, Recreation and Cultural Update Report. I can move in a seconder. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Councillor Booth. Further discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Thanks, Brian. We're moving on to 10, and it's the Treasury Department. We have a report from Nicole Leach-Vinham, Treasurer, dated July 4th, 2023, regarding the 2023 water budget. Hi, Nicole.
Hi,
You're there. Oh, good.
I
You
am.
want to take us through the report, please?
Absolutely. So this is the report on the water budget. It has already been taken to the Grafton Communal Water Committee and has received approval from the committee to bring to council for final approval. As I'm sure council is aware, the water budget does not have any taxation impact. It's 100% user based and therefore does not have any impact on the levy. So that's why this comes a little bit later than the overall budget. So if there are any questions, I would be more than happy to answer those.
Mike, you have a question? Your hands, you got the yellow hand there. I'm not sure if you got it up there or not.
Sorry, Mayor, just didn't take it down.
Okay. Nicole, the revenues, when do you get are you able to do the final for 2022?
So for 2022, I actually have put in the accruals just recently, actually for the auditors. So what generally happens is Lakefront Utility is usually behind in getting the invoicing to us for previous months. So that's why even when the second draft of the budget did go to the water committee, you still see that the final income for the year is not included in that. It has since been put in as an accrual at the audit level, and I'm still working on working with the auditors to get our audit complete. So they will do any final adjustments. And as I think I pointed out in the report, that's where those yellow amounts will change those to from reserves, because once we have the postings for the final revenue that has come in for the residential and the bulk customers, I suspect that rather than having an amount there to balance as coming in as income, it'll actually be an amount going into reserves, and that's normally the case unless there's something that's out of the ordinary.
Yeah, but you will still see it on, I can't see what the line is, but the water customers and the other one, the bulk water customers, you'll see those figures go up for the 2022 actuals.
Absolutely, that's correct. Those numbers will go up. I think we had all of November, and I'm trying to think. I think there was at least a half of November and all of December that needed to be added in there. So there's a month and a half worth of revenue that isn't in the numbers that are showing there.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from our water board members?
No.
Thank you. Any questions from other members of council? Okay, I'll read the motion. Yeah, first. Be it resolved that the council of the Township of Allen Calderman approve the 2023 water budget approved by the Grafton Communal Water Committee on June 1st, 2023, and further that the council of Allen Calderman receive and file the 2023 water budget report. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councillor Booth and Deputy Mayor Stover seconding it. Further discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Next, we have a report from Pat Kemp, acting CAO clerk, dated July 4th, 2023, regarding hosting Northumberland Central Chamber of Commerce meet and greet. Can I get a, Pat, you want to?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So council had mentioned what was required in order to host a meet and greet when they were discussing some of the events that were coming up. And so I did contact Kevin Ward from the Chamber of Commerce. And so he indicated that in order for the municipality to host it, you would be required to have it either on the second Tuesday of the month at 5 o'clock, or you could pick a specific date if you wanted to have them come to a council meeting. As the host, you need to provide a venue that would accommodate up to 30 people comfortably, and light refreshments are to be provided by the host. And if you aren't able to provide the refreshments, then you're to use a fellow chamber member. You're also providing one door prize, and the value of that is $50. And then I've listed the upcoming dates, and as I mentioned, council could also have a meeting where the business people come in and spoke with council and had a Q&A session. So I'm just providing that for council's information and direction.
Okay, we'll read the resolution, then we'll open it up. Be resolved, the Council of Township of Allen Calderman received the report from acting CAO clerk dated July 4th, 2023, regarding hosting a Northumberland Central Chamber of Commerce meet and greet. And further, that council provides staff with direction. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Comments? Go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Logal. I know this is one item that I had brought forward, but I'm thinking instead of maybe this venue, that when we get the economic development and tourism group going, if it wouldn't be more prudent to have maybe somebody from that chamber sit on that economic development, or I'm just wondering if that would be the best way to go about this rather than having an event.
Okay, Mary Catherine?
I seconded this to get it on the floor, but I do have some concerns about this. I'm believe, or my position is that this should come forward like any other community group, like Community Care or the Horticultural Society in the fall when they're making the applications, and that we look at it in, you know, a budget time rather than midway through the year making decisions like this. I'm also, because it didn't come forward last year and I am uncomfortable that I don't believe we've actually passed a motion that allowed us to become a member of it this year. Am I misremembering here?
I'd have to look. I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
I think we have been other years.
Yeah, I just
well,
think that we may already be in a little bit of needing to get this tidied up, but my feeling should be that we don't do anything and we send a letter explaining that we look at all of these organizations and our support in the fall. It was early in the budget process, and that's the time that we should be looking at this. That's my position anyway.
I think I have to read a letter that I got this morning, just so everybody knows what some of the residents are thinking, and this was an anonymous letter. And I'll read it to you. Good morning, Mayor Logal. This is an item on, there is an item on today's agenda, item 11.1, regarding hosting a Chamber of Commerce meet and greet. I respectfully request that this item be denied. Chamber of Commerce are arm's length organizations from government, funded by private business membership to promote business in their area and to lobby governments on behalf of the businesses. It is not appropriate for local municipalities to use taxpayer dollars to promote businesses. Leave that to the upper tier governments. The county already spends huge amounts of taxpayer dollars on economic development and tourism for all businesses in the county. How did this report come to council? As council did not direct staff to bring a report at any meeting to date. I guess my only comment, I'm not sure, because I think this did come up at one of their committee meeting. And, you know, that's, I guess I'm gonna say that's one person's opinion. And I agree with some of it, but you know, the fact that I think it is our responsibility to help promote business, whether that be financially or whatever, but it is a responsibility of council to encourage business for the benefit of all of our residents. Anybody else have any further comments? Mike?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Logo. I mean, I would just kind of add to that, you know, I would be for something like this. I agree with you that we should be helping to promote our business, and which is, you know, tourism also. And, you know, if we do hold one of these, then maybe we should be inviting some of the businesses that aren't part of the Chamber of Commerce right now.
That's a good point. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Through your Mayor Lobo, I think it might be more prudent to funnel it all through the Economic Committee once we get that established.
Okay.
That would be my thought. Thank you.
Further comments? What do you want to do then?
Deputy Mayor Stover moved it and Councillor O'Neill seconded.
Thank you. Do you want to give us some direction then, Deputy Mayor?
Well, I think what I would do is just, can we receive and file it? Does that put us in, we've received it,
Or
or
whatever?
defer it until we
Yeah.
can get through to the starting of the economic, committee and development committee?
Are you happy with that? Mayor Catherine?
I would appreciate if you're open to it, Deputy Mayor Stover, that we do send to the Chamber of Commerce our process and bring them into what we have done for other organizations within the within the township.
To your Mayor Local, I could just add, I believe that we are a member of the chamber. I think we did that right at the start. I'm not sure. So it's not really, doesn't fall really under the volunteer or when we ask for donations. But in thinking of it more, I think it might fit more into the economic development committee that way.
Go ahead, Mayor Catherine.
Which is our strategic plan, which I have a question about later on as well. So they all fit together, but I do. I'm not sure because we did do the sponsorship for that, the business evening, but I don't believe that came forward as a motion.
So we might have some house cleaning to do. I don't know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there was a motion for the sponsorship. And I believe the Chamber of Commerce membership was part of the budget process, but I'd have to check to see, or maybe Nicole might know.
Through you, Mayor, I don't recall the membership, whether it was part of one of the organizations we gave a contribution to. I was just checking. But I don't believe it was. I don't see it here on my list.
I just know through your Mayor Local that you were sitting on you sit on it as a council rep.
I don't sit on the board.
No,
I provide information.
Yeah.
That type of stuff. Just basically,
information.
and by information, we try to promote the township at the Chamber of Commerce and tell them what we're doing and
Mhm.
they provide feedback usually as
So
well.
maybe we haven't joined.
Huh?
Maybe we haven't joined. I don't know. Have to look into it.
Well, I think we should find out, first of all, what we did sponsor them for. And what was the reason? I don't think it was, I could be wrong, but that list that you're referring to, I believe is a donation for charitable donations and that, I don't think we ever provided the money. for that.
Mm,
But it might be going under, joining different businesses, associations and that type of stuff. So that's perhaps, maybe we should find out exactly what we're talking about. So you're deferring it?
Yes.
So can you read back the motion?
Yes, it's that council defer the council defer the report on hosting a Northumberland Center Chamber of Commerce meet and greet, and that to defer it to or to review it once the Economic Development Committee is established. And I don't know, Councillor O'Neill had added in about sending the information to the chamber, if that council
But
wants
we
that
can
added
just,
to.
I am not sure it needs to be part of the motion. We can just do
Yep.
that when we send it out to everyone.
All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Next, we have committee committee reports, pardon me. And first of all, we have 12-1 short-term rental ad hoc committee meeting minutes of April 19th, 2023. Be it resolved, the short-term rental ad hoc committee minutes of April 19th, 2023 be received and filed. Mover and seconder. Councillor Ainsworth moving, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Any discussion? Just to clarify, Mike, was that the last meeting?
I believe so.
Okay. All right. Any other further discussions? I'll read the resolution. Be resolved, the council of the township of Allen McCollum and receive the report from the acting CA. Oh, that's the wrong one. I already read it.
You did, you just need to call the vote, please.
Yeah, okay, all in favor? Carried. Communications. We have correspondence from the various municipalities regarding council resolutions adopted, and I'll read the 4 of them. Township of Tay Valley regarding reducing municipal insurance costs. Municipality of Port Hope regarding opioid overdose crisis. County of Northumberland regarding the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus. Council support for 7 in 7 regional housing plan, and the municipality of North Perth regarding vacant building official positions. And the resolution is be resolved, the council of the township of Allen McCalderman received the correspondence from various municipalities regarding resolutions adopted, and further the council direction is required. Does anybody want to just receive and file those?
I think so.
Can I get a mover and a seconder then for that? Moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by,
I actually have a question about one of them.
okay.
You want
you
a
second it?
seconder? Yep,
Okay.
thank you.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Councillor O'Neill, do you have a question?
It's actually directed at you, Mayor Logal. It's calling the opioid crisis, overdose crisis.
Yes.
And I know that you're part of the HKPR and that you probably know more than the rest of us put together in this particular file. Do you feel that we need to be doing something to support HKPR or Port Hope with this?
I certainly think we should support the directive of it. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by do we.
Yes, and I'm not sure I fully know where it's going either, so that's why I kind of threw it to you to see if you knew a bit more. I know there's said that it's going to rotate locations, whether or not we, where do we fit into that bigger picture, I guess.
I'm sure that, I believe, Port Hope and Coburg in particular are driving this. So I would suggest at least that the Coburg would probably host a second one. But if we like, we could host one here as well. That's what you're referring to.
Perhaps if we just said that we are supportive of this initiative and to reach out to us, perhaps that would be a way to word it.
Okay. Go ahead, Councillor.
Mayor Logal, I'm just wondering who's at the table when we're having this. Are the police, the OPP and the Coburg Police, Port Hope Police, are they all at the table for these caucuses?
My understanding of this particular one, the one that they referred to, the one in Port Hope, that was a kind of a get together and discuss. And the experts were the HKPR director or the manager, Dr. Natalie Brocking was there. The Port Hope police chief was there, as well as I believe Olena, the mayor of Port Hope. And basically that what they were doing was just trying to make people aware and looking for different things that are going on in Port Hope. And I think that's what the intent was, to move it to Coburg next.
To move it, okay, that makes sense.
So, but if you feel we want to do that, I certainly don't mind arranging that.
Yeah, I think we
I can
should.
talk to both of them and find out where they are and where they want to go. They may want to go to Trent Hills too. I don't know, but
Yeah, and I just, I'm not sure where we would fit in, but I do think we want to support this
Oh,
because,
Absolutely.
it's not as big a issue here as in Port Hope and Coburg, but it is here. We do have the issue within our township as well, so.
Well, what could we probably could then, the other three we can receive and file, and this one here we support and get back to the municipality of Port Hope saying that. Is
Sure,
that what you're saying?
I would like
Everybody
to see
agree?
that.
I just want more clarification with these caucuses. Is this something that everybody can go to, or is it just a specific?
For the opioids?
Yeah, this caucus. The warden's caucus.
Oh, the Warden's Caucus. Oh,
Yeah.
that's,
Or no, I mean on the opioid overdose prices.
no, that was a public meeting open to anybody in the public.
Okay, thank you.
And just so you understand, the 7 and 7, that's to build 7,000 homes in 7 years across Eastern Ontario. I'll read the resolution. Be resolved, the council of the township of Allen-McCullum receive the correspondence from various municipalities regarding resolutions adopted, and further that council receive and file the number 1, 3, and 4. And that we respond to the municipality of Port Hope for the other one, saying that we support their initiative and we'll get more information. Request more information. All in favor? Carried. Then we have. No, do we have? Wait a minute. We have the emergency petition from a resident of the township of Allen-McCullum regarding Hogan and Russ Creek walking paths. Be it resolved, the council of the township of Allen-McCullum received a petition regarding the use of Hogan and Russ Creek walking paths, and further the council direction is required. Can I get a mover and a seconder for this? Moved by Mary Catherine, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Comments? Mary Catherine?
As it's sitting in front of me, I think we're looking at some sort of management things about how it's cleared and what signs are there and whatever. And I don't actually think that's part of our mandate. We're looking at governance. However, which brings me to the bylaw, which is, as we noted, when it came before us before, that it is outdated. And I'm still not seeing the contracts that are with the NATV club or with the hiking, which I believe is the Oak Ridges Moraine Trail System. So those would, I think, as governance at some point, and not necessarily immediately, but at some point, it would be good to look at those and make sure that they're current and they're meeting our needs. But what I'm seeing in front of me today is more management type things.
Thank you. Any other? Oh. Better watch that. Greg, do you have a comment? Go ahead.
I understand what you're saying, Councillor O'Neill, but this request, we need to make a decision on this. This request came here July 21st, 2022. It was deferred to August 18th, 2022. And now it's come to us again, and we keep deferring, and we're not making a decision on it. Basically, the decision we have to make is whether or not we're going to allow motorized vehicles through there. And I think council we need to start making a decision. And we do have the Public Works manager here, so I guess through you or your worship to Brian, does your recommendation, Brian, still remain the same as what you had on August 18th, 2022?
Go ahead, Brian.
Yes, through you, Mayor Vogel. Yes, Councillor Booth, I was stick to my same recommendation than the last report I did last year to council. Yes.
So we have staff that's come to us. We've deferred. Brian's still sticking by that, and I think it's time we make a decision, and I'll put the motion forward if I have to, that I make a motion that this request be denied.
So we have a motion on the floor.
Oh, okay.
You already had a motion on the floor.
Yes, so it was moved by Councillor O'Neill and seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. That the report or the be resolved that Council of the Township of Walmart received a petition regarding the use of Hogan in Rust Creek walking paths and further that council direction is required. So they haven't stipulated the condition, but there is a motion on the floor.
Okay.
So who made the motion?
Councillor O'Neill and seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover.
Go ahead.
You may have misunderstood my intention, Councillor Booth. I was saying that at this point, what we have in front of us would be a management thing. And I agree with you. At this point, we have staff recommending that it remain as it is. However, thinking forward, I do think it's worthwhile to look at this from a governance perspective and renew and make sure that those are current, because I believe it's 2009. So we're 14 years. It's probably time to look at and make sure that those are meeting what we need and at this time. And I don't know if there's a rush on that exactly, but I certainly don't want to see that just left. 14 years is quite long enough to leave it.
Go ahead.
Through your Mayor Logo, this has been quite a topic. We've read a lot of documents. And I was going through this today and I was reading it. And then this part jumped out to me. And I'll read the whole paragraph if you'll bear with me. It's not that long. The manager has consulted with the Northumberland District ATV Riders Club, who has advised that the Rust Creek Road Allowance has been part of their trail system since the beginning, and Hogan Road Allowance is not part of the main trail, but is used as well, so it would be detrimental if the allowances were closed to motorized vehicles. So when I read that, it came loud and clear to me that this is a secondary trail system and that it's not really a detriment to any ATV club or ATV rider that they use this. And it is narrow, the pictures that we have gotten with this. So that part was kind of like the icing on the cake, so to speak, that I wouldn't support having ATVs on this because it is a secondary unit. The ATVs have areas that they can go. It's noted that this is a secondary unit by the ATV Riders Club. So that kind of, when I was going through this and reading it, that's kind of what made me think they have other routes that they can go. They don't need to use this route. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay. I guess my thought is that we're still deciding whether this is a public road or not, and it's either open to the public or not open to the public. But I could be wrong in that. Brian, you want to comment on that?
Yes, through you, Mayor Lobo. The only thing I will state is that it is still a municipal right of way. That current farmers and that still access some of the lands in there for their crops and that. So the bylaw that I brought was for motorized closure for all motorized vehicles. Again, this is still used by other residents in the area to access their property. So there has to be access for motorized vehicles on this right away.
Thank you. Go ahead.
To your Mayor Logo, I know the day that we did go for the walk up there, seemed to me that there was one entrance for Farmer's Field, but it was near the beginning of the road. Is that correct?
Yes, the main one there on the right hand. Yes, correct.
So it wouldn't be detrimental to any other farmers because they'd have a heck of a time getting down that trail. the way that is.
I guess my only, through your mayor, the only comment is there is more land down through there that can be accessed. They may at some time need to get there. That's all. Like I said, it's something you gotta be careful with, that you don't I don't know if you can landlock them. I'm sure they might have another area to get in at, but I'm not quite sure if it is used, but it possibly could be used further. But the one entrance that Deputy Mayor is speaking is probably about maybe 100 meters up or something. They're not very far on the, so. But again, it is, again, I guess I'll just comment again, I've been over there a few times now. And again, it's mostly during the day. I'm never there at nights or on weekends by any means, but I'm yet to see, a motorized vehicle or a four-wheeler even come down the trail since I've been over there, stuff like that, so.
Go ahead, Greg.
Through you, your worship, the public works manager has just said it, and historically, I don't believe that the town has ever denied motorized vehicles on these road allowances. That's the purpose of them. And we don't know 10 years from now if one of those farmers wants to take his tractor down there to go to the next lot. So I support his motion that, this request be denied for motorized vehicle. I do agree with Councillor O'Neill that there are some questions that maybe we can look in afterwards, which is the comment that Covert Hill Road, that there's an unopened road allowance that has a private gate across it. I know, talking to the past CAO, he was trying to look it up and talk to the planner to find out whether or not that is a road allowance or it's his property. And there was no definitive answer, but I'd like an answer on that to find out, just to make sure that a private citizen doesn't have a gate on it.
How do we find that out?
We can do a search.
You can do a search.
Okay,
Okay.
so that would be one thing, Pat, if we could look into. And hopefully the other councillors are okay with that, just finding out about the entrance to Covert Hill. There's a private gate.
We need a motion to do that.
You have a motion on the floor. After that motion, yes, you could pass a separate motion.
Thank you. Mary Catherine?
Just further, there's all sorts of road allowances contrary to yours, that the road allowances are all available for the public use. I'm not as familiar here in Northumberland, but having grown up in Victoria County, which is now the city of Kawartha Lakes, we had a road allowance on our farm and it was part of our farm field. And it only became a public road allowance that the public could use if, and it did happen, property was sold behind and they needed to have access. So this is why I think it's important to look at, what do these contracts for this area specifically say, and are they appropriate? So I think that, and I know when I'm walking where there's a road allowance near me, that the person has stay off of here and they have horses running in that area, and it is a road allowance on a map, but it's certainly not a road allowance where it would be acceptable for just the general public to be on. But I am also concerned about that gate, because whatever we're doing, not just somebody decides here I'm putting a gate and someone else doesn't put a gate. That's
Okay. Anybody have some further comments?
Not until we have a motion.
We have a motion.
No, but what to do,
Well,
Yeah.
that's what we're waiting for.
sorry, I believe I'd already given the direction that we deny it at this time. And I don't know whether it makes sense to put it in that at some point we're going to be looking at these contracts and making sure they're current, whether you want that in the same motion or not. What do you think?
Yes.
Okay, and that within the coming year, is that a reasonable timeline? Yep. We will look at the existing contract with both the NATV and the hiking trail, which, as I say, I believe is the Oak Ridges trail system.
I'm not familiar with a trail agreement or nothing like that, but I could be all wet. You heard of that?
The hiking trail?
Yes.
I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should investigate that
Nope,
too,
I've got it.
because. Yeah, I've never heard of that, and I know that some, in the literature we got, there was something about the county having a trail. But I
Yeah.
don't think it's ever come to the township to do
At
that.
Castleton, there's the entrance to that trail system. It's considered the eastern end of that trail system. And there's a map there, and that's where I saw that road on that map. And I'm like, oh, well, this is what they're referencing. So, but it goes from here to Hamilton.
Well, I'm sure that then they got approval to do it.
Yeah, you would think, eh?
Well.
But what's the agreement, the details of the agreement? I
Yeah.
don't think it's a question. I'm assuming like you, that if there's a map showing it, that they do have approval, but
Well, yeah, I'm not necessarily agreeing with what you said there, but I think it's important that we do figure that whether there is there or not. Okay, so it's been moved by Mary Catherine to deny and further investigate with the bylaw for the ATVs. And see if we should update that as well as investigate and see if there is, in fact, an agreement with the Oak Ridges Marine Trail or whatever you called it.
I'm
Right.
just,
Yep.
to your Mayor Logo, I'm just wondering what, if a year is too long for this to wait.
Okay. What do you think about that, Madam CAO?
So we probably could do it within 6 months. If that's acceptable to council.
yeah, so long as it gets done, I'm not in a rush to see it done, but I think it is important to get it done.
Further discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Next, we have correspondence, and we have some from the AMTO Communications dated June 15th, 2023 and June 22nd, 2023. We have a motion, or pardon me, notification from the Blue Dot Northumberland regarding passing of Bill S5 Strengthening Environment Protection for a Healthier Canada Act. The Halliburton Kawartha Pine Ridge District Health Unit media release regarding the HKPR releases climate change, health vulnerability and adaptability assessment reporting, highlighting urgent need for action. We have the Rural Ontario Municipal Association, Roma, dated June 23rd, 2023, regarding the board and their June highlights. And we also have something from the County of Northumberland regarding updates to the Northumberland County from June 26th to July 7th, 2023. And the resolution reads AMO Communications. Be it resolved, the following correspondence we received and filed. AMO Communications dated June 15th and June 22nd, 2023. The Blue Dot Northumberland regarding passing of Bill S5 Strengthening Environment Protection for a Healthier Canada Act. The Halliburton Kawartha Pine Ridge District Health Unit media release regarding HKPR releasing climate change, health vulnerability and adaptability assessment report highlighting urgent need for action. The Rural Ontario Municipal Association, Roma, dated June 23rd, 2023, regarding the Roma Board June highlights, and the County of Northumberland regarding updates from the Northumberland County for June 22nd to June 27th. And the motion was to receive and file. Are there any questions or comments? I'll get a motion to move in second first. Moved by Mary Catherine, and seconded by
Councillor O'Neill.
Councillor O'Neill. No, you moved it. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Any questions or comments on this? Go ahead, Mary Catherine.
Okay, I have a couple of items that are in there would be things I think should be included in our strategic plan discussion. That Blue Dot, the previous council did make or give the support
Right.
for that. So I think it's important that we include that in our thinking. What does support look like so that it's meaningful? Also with the HKPR health unit, I know that's come in passing before us, but I think at some point we should look at it more clearly or in more depth. And the other is Northumberland Tourism had Canada Day stuff up there that did not include the most awesome one here in Alnwick Alderman. So moving forward, I'll make sure that the committee next year is reaching out and getting our information there. But
Thank you. Pat, did you find any more information?
So that's all that was sent in on the blue dot.
Okay. It didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I know.
Did you? I thought there must have been a front
Where
page
it's
and a
come
back
from.
page.
Yeah, no, I checked with Yolanda
Just-
and that's all that we received.
yes,
Cause it didn't come from I'm sure the Blue Dot has their own, logo and all of that type stuff.
yes, I believe it's a volunteer organization, so that may have just come as someone within the organization had sent that.
Well, they should have signed it or something.
Yeah.
Cause it's got no credibility, really.
Yep, I agree. Good point.
So the motion was to receive and file. Do you want to do anything more than that?
No, just to keep this on file and bring it forward again later.
All in favor? Motion's carried. Announcements and notices of motion. Deputy Mayor Stover.
Oh, but bylaws.
Oh, I'm sorry, bylaws. Yep. Thank you, Pat. Bylaw 14, bylaw number 76, 2023, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 132, 2022 to appoint members of the Township of Alma Alderman to council, to boards, committees, and as a representative on related agencies for the term 2022 to 2026. Be resolved that bylaw number 76, 2023, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 132, 2022 to appoint members of the Township of Alma Alderman Council to boards, committees, and as a representative on related agencies for the term 2022 to 2026 be read and deemed to be passed this 4th day of July, 2023. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Questions or comments? Go ahead.
Through your mayor logo, Madam CAO, have we not done this already?
Yes, we did. We made a change. I was trying to figure out what it was.
The amalgamated Northumberland Police Services.
No, that's right.
Oh, I see. That's what the change
And
was.
it's to appoint
Okay.
the mayor to the new
The
police
new,
service board.
okay,
Yep.
good.
We need a mover and a seconder.
Yep, we already did.
Already got it.
Mhm.
Thank you. All in favor?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So you will remain on the amalgamated Northumberland Police Services. Now, will our community representative, Art Lansley, will he remain on it, or is it just you in the new system?
I can explain that to you.
Thank you.
There's a representative on each municipality. There is 2 members of the public that can be appointed. I can tell you that the board members from AH Township on the Police Services Board both declined that opportunity to sit on that board. And there will be an announcement in the next couple of weeks of who was selected by the committee.
Okay.
Okay. And there was, and actually, I believe, I'm almost positive, the province also has the opportunity to
Yeah,
select.
we only had one before the province had appointed that other person.
Okay, all in favor? Motion's carried. Now we'll move on to announcements and notices of motion. Deputy Mayor Stoller.
Through your mayor logo, the first item I have is Alderville First Nations is having their powwow July 8th and 9th, 2023. It's a great program and it's being held at 5857 Roseneath Landing Road. And I don't have the start time, but I could get the start time for you.
Yes.
That's the only thing I didn't write down. But Madam CEO, we didn't get any notification of this. Okay, thanks. It was through my church that I found that.
Okay.
And there was a bit of an issue with the 800 number for people to call in for bylaw issues and road issues. And I've just gotten an email from a resident who called the 800 number and got through. And I couldn't get through. I spoke to somebody on Friday night and they said they didn't handle bylaw issues. A resident called and got the same information. But it appears that this has all been sorted out and the 855-574-5265 is a number for residents to call after hours that need help with bylaws or if there's a road issue.
Want to comment, Pat?
So I did contact Task Paging. That's who we utilize. And we had made an agreement a year ago that any of our bylaw complaints could go through that number and they would direct them to one of our bylaw enforcement officers. I'm not sure if it was a new person taking the call because when I called her this morning to find out what had happened, the individual that I spoke to, she said, yes, we do have that agreement that you can call us and we'll forward those calls on to bylaw. So her supervisor was going to see who was on duty and to find out why. And I think it's probably just a case of they were maybe a new
Somebody
person
new.
and didn't realize that for all we called them and that bylaw complaints can be taken with that number and they'll forward them on. So
And it would appear Saturday night that it worked as it should, but not
Oh,
Friday
not
night.
Friday night.
For Saturday night.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. I guess the other comment that I would make that after Joan approached me on that, if you go through our website, that's exactly what the numbers that you're supposed to call for public works issues as well as bylaw.
Mhm.
That's what it says in there.
Yep.
So I'm glad you got that straightened out because
We're
people
cool.
want to call and if they have an issue and
Yep.
if they.
Especially if
them
we're promoting
response.
it, then you
Yeah.
want to make sure someone's answering.
Okay,
Thank you.
anything else, Joan?
The only other thing I do have is there seems to be a bit of an issue with some people. Are we able to put the licensed SDRs on our website, Madam CAO?
Yes, we could.
That would certainly save bylaws some time and it would be good for everybody to know.
Yep. No, we
Thank
can do that.
Thanks so much.
Do you need a motion to do that?
No.
Okay. All right. Next we have Counselor Mike. Any?
Nothing at this time, Eric.
Thank you. Counselor O'Neill.
Heritage Alnwick Haldeman. First of all, they were very pleased and honored that Gary was recognized as Citizen of the Year. And also they do have, this is more of a heads up than anything, they are looking into the implications of the change in the provincial legislation. Because right now, or what has happened, the current practice was that if there was a demolition and it seemed like there might be any heritage implications at all, the chief building official contacted Heritage and they basically went by and had time to look and say, yes, there's something or no, there's not. But the new legislation looks like that is going to be removed. So they're just doing some research and it's just a little bit of a heads up for all of us to be aware that the provincial government is making changes in that area.
Thank you. Counselor Booth.
Yes, your worship, through you, just a reminder that this Thursday, July the 6th is the Northumberland Cattlemen's Association barbecue. I believe the trade show is from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. and then the barbecue is 6 p.m. And that's all.
Thank you. I've got a couple or three things. I intend to be away from July 11th to July 24th. I do hope and plan to use the Zoom if it works for our June 18th meeting.
Okay.
I'll contact you a couple of days before and make sure that, because I'm, in a trailer park, so I don't know what type of service they'll have, but if it works, then I'll be here. Regarding police service and OPP, a temporary Northumberland County OPP detachment commander has been named. Her name is Christy McNaughton. And they intend to post for a full-time position in the next month or so, or in July. And there'll be somebody assigned to it, I would think by September or October. Also nice to report from that group. First of all, there was some concerns about issues in Roseneath and the fire. Possibilities of fire. That's the wrong way to put it, but you know what I'm saying, eh? But anyways, I was assured by the commander that they are doing regular routes in Roseneath. And by regular, I mean, I shouldn't say that, more regular, more often than normal going
Being
through
more
Rose.
visible.
Yes, yes. And also that she was going on to say, they've added an additional 9 road officers to the OPP detachment for Northumberland. And the reasons for that, well, it looks like there's a big increase, and there is a big increase, but some of that was due to the fact that they had several people that were on long-term absences for whatever reason, as well as the local people were able to convince the managers up in Aurelia, I believe it is, that we don't have enough to manage the 401 and look after the regular community. So there was some added on there as well. So just because the 401's busy doesn't mean that we can't service us anymore. And that's it.
Mayor Logo,
Yep.
if I may, through you. I did find the time and the grand entry for the powwow is at 12 noon
Okay.
on Saturday.
The grand entry. So that's probably the grand opening too.
Yeah, they call it the grand entry
Okay.
on the poster.
Okay. They probably, I don't know that, but that probably means that everybody's going to be
starts.
there to kick it off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, before
Yes.
we move on, I just wanted to report that Nicole was able to find that, yes, we are a member of the Chamber of Commerce and we have been since 2020. We'd have to look back prior to that, but we
Yeah.
had been since 2020, so.
I'm sure we have been for
Yeah.
a long time. Okay, that ends or not ends, but the open portion of the meeting is going to conclude and we'll be going into closed session. And then after the closed session, we'll be returning back for open council for the closure of this business meeting. So I'm going to read the motion to recess to a closed session. That the council of the township of Allen and Colden will be recessing to a closed session under section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended to consider labor relations or employee negotiations relative to the janitorial services with the acting CAO clerk and the deputy clerk. That's okay.
Yeah, she won't be in attendance.
Okay. Remain in attendance, and we'll do that at 2:27 PM. Can I get a mover and a second for that? All in favor?
Who moved and
Oh,
seconded?
I didn't catch that. Councillor Booth did. And Deputy Mayor Stover. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we just finished from the closed session. We're going to make motion to reconvene to our regular session and rise from the closed session and report. Be it resolved that the council of the township of Allen-McCullough reconvene to the regular council meeting at 3:16 PM and rise from the closed meeting and report. Be it resolved that the recommendations contained in the confidential report of Pat Kemp, acting CAO clerk dated July 4th, 2023,
Be deferred.
be deferred and that council and that staff proceed as directed. Mover and seconder. Counselor A. Counselor Ainsworth, seconded by Counselor Booth. All in favor? Motion's carried. Next, we have item 17, confirming bylaw. Be it resolved that the bylaw 77, 2023, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular session and closed session of council held on Tuesday, July 4th, 2023, be read and deemed passed this fourth day of July, 2023. Mover, Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. All in favor? Motion's carried. And a motion to resolve the regular session of council of Tuesday, July 4th, 2023, be adjourned at 3:17 PM. Can I get a mover? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover and seconded by Councillor O'Neill. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thanks, everyone. See you, Mike. Have a safe
Take
trip
care,
home.
everybody. You bet. Take care. Good chats.
Okay, good night.
Take care.